Welcome back to the Elias Makos Show. It's 1021 right here on CJAD 800. Now, therapy can be intimidating, but what if your therapist had 4 legs and a thick coat of fur? That's the idea behind a new program for kids in youth protection. A recent pet therapy pilot program at Batshaw Group Home has proven so successful, it's about to become permanent. Let's go now to Elena Hirsh, a manager at Batshaw Group Home. Elena, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Elias. Thank you so much for having me on.
Listen, I think we're going to touch on a lot of things that are near and dear to my heart here. So before we get into this therapy program and pet therapy, why don't you just tell our listeners here a bit more about Batshaw and who you're serving in the community?
Okay, so I can talk about my group home in particular. So I work for a group home that is a little bit different than a lot of the other group homes in Batshaw, where we really specialize in adolescents with mental health. So in order to come and stay with us and live with us for a whole school year, the teenagers that live here have to be diagnosed by a psychologist or psychiatrist with they carry a mental health diagnosis. So it could be anywhere from anxiety, depression, a lot of suicidal ideation, self-injurious behaviors, that type of thing. So it's all clients who are either placed under youth protection because of various issues that have occurred in their life earlier, but clients can also come here voluntarily, and our referrals are through the Mental Health Children's Hospital, the Douglas, or CLSUs.
So based on that answer, I'm guessing you offer regular therapy to the people that need it. Let's get into how the decision was made to look at pet therapy and adding that into the mix.
So one of the things that we're so lucky to have here at Batshaw is that we have the Batshaw Foundation that is always looking for new and innovative ways to support the youth that are under youth protection and involved in Batshaw. There's also one of my coworkers, a wonderful man named Sam, who is very involved in the community and outreach, and he really looks for different things in ways that we can help our clients. And the Batshaw Foundation was able to secure a grant in September of last year through Bell. We think we know that Bell is very involved with mental health as well. And it was to look at this, a presentation or a proposal that had come through about doing this pilot project. And we were approached by Sam to ask, would you be interested in doing it at this particular group home, knowing that the clientele do struggle with mental health? So we had 2 dogs that were able to come for September through the end of last year, and the results that we saw were just incredible with our clients.
So tell us about that. What happened when the dogs arrived? What happened?
So when the dogs arrived, it was great because we had 2 very different dogs. We had a very large golden doodle that came, and then we had a smaller Pomeranian, I believe she was. So it was very quiet. The house was very settled. And I think the dogs initially just brought a sense of calm to the house, which was great. But what we quickly noticed was that our clients who were more reserved and more into themselves and more anxious would sit on the floor, and the dogs would come and sit next to them. And we noticed just simple things such as, I think we all know how it feels when a dog puts their head in your lap, but for these teenagers to have that moment, you could kind of see maybe some of the stress, some of the pressure was just relieved. And the dogs would just sit with them, and they would pet them and play with them. And with the Pomeranian, the woman who had brought the dog here would allow the kids to dress her up and things like that. And it just brought happipiness. It was very mindful for them. They were really able to just focus on the dogs. And then they learned skills about, they learned basic dog commands, and just the looks on their face when they would tell the dog sit and the dog sat. They would ask, they would tell the dog to give a paw and the dog gave a paw. It would just boost their confidence and in turn boost their self-esteem.
We're with Elena Hirsh, a group home manager at Batshaw. We're talking about a new pet therapy program that's about to become permanent. So, Elena, I've always felt that, the world would be so much better if you just mandated there has to be a big, goofy golden retriever in any location with more than a few people, I
would sign up for that world too. I really would. In fact, one of the things that we talk about a lot is that for teenagers that we have living in the house now, are always asking, why can't the dogs just stay? Why can't they just live here? Why can't they, there's room. The dogs have helped our kids in so many ways that, one of the things I should mention too about our group home is that with the teenagers that struggle a lot with anxiety and depression, school is very difficult. So we actually have a school in our basement. So they don't have to go to public schools. They live and go to school in the same house. Mm-hmm. And what we were able to do with the dogs this year, which was incredible, was have the dogs in the basement with everybody when they were writing their provincial exams. So just, to be stressed about exams, which every teenager is, but then be able to reach down and have a golden doodle laying on your feet that you can just pet and take a little break with and then get back to your exam helped all of our students so much that I'm incredibly proud of the grades that they were able to get on their exams.
I'll let you answer this next question with either hard fact or just the gut feeling. Mm-hmm. Why does this work so well? Why do you think it works so well? Something so simple.
You know what? I think I'm like you, Elias, where I love dogs. And for anybody who's had a dog in their own life, you can kind of tell your dog knows when you're having a bad day. Your dog knows when you're not feeling well. And I believe that these dogs were able to pick up on the anxiety, pick up on the worry, pick up on the stress that our kids felt. And they just provided an unconditional, loving, supportive, nurturing source of comfort for our kids. And that's what we would hope every child could have. That's what we would hope that every human being would have, that just something unconditional where it doesn't matter if you're having a good day or you're having a bad day. When the dog walks in the door, they just want to be with you and love you. And it's our kids responded incredibly well to that.
Everything has a cost, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, you're going to make this program permanent. So how do you pay? How's that going to be paid for? And can the case be made? It doesn't matter how much it costs. It's going to reduce other costs on other types of treatment and therapy and programs.
Absolutely. So, like I said, our initial grants were received through the Batshaw Foundation, through a grant through Bell, and I believe that there was one other source that a grant came from. But the Batshaw Foundation has been such a support to us in raising money and raising funds and being able to support this program wholeheartedly so that it's expanded not just in our group home, but the dogs are now going to the Beaconsfield campus that we have. They're going up north to our Prevost campus. We're just seeing the benefits. And, my group home specializes in kids with mental health, but there's other group homes. We also have group homes with much younger children who are responding incredibly well. We have some units that are locked units where there's a dog that goes into the locked unit and spends time with the boys that are up there. So across the board, we're just seeing the same results. But you're right, it does cost money. We have to pay the therapists that are rendering the service, that are bringing their dogs. And my hope is that through the Batshaw Foundation and hopefully through other sources, we'll be able to raise the funds to keep this program going.
And I imagine with results like you've had, that will make the case, right? They speak for themselves.
That's our hope, yes.
Elena, we got to leave it there. I want to thank you so much for coming on the program. Great story.
Thank you so much for your time. Take care.
That's Elena Hirsh, a manager at Batshaw Group Home.